and I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like
Now, time for award of the week. And this award of the week goes to Democrats as a group, as a record label, staff, and a MFN crew. But yeah, to Democrats for basically riding the "we're the only alternative" wagon till the wheels fall off. By that I mean obviously for from like 2014, 2015, basically until like today, Donald Trump has been like the big bad like boogeyman for Democrats, and they've basically been riding this whole like train of like we're not him, and if you don't elect us, like he might come back. And it's kind of been good cover for them to either not do things or do things that are contrary to what has been promised. So this week we have like a couple of examples, such as pretty soon within the new year, President Joe Biden is going to be ending the child tax credit, which helped out a lot of people during the pandemic who have children where you got a certain amount of money for each child credited to your taxes. So you'd be seeing a lot more money in your refund. And he also reneged on student loan forgiveness, actually going as far as to resume student loan debt collections. And we all know like he got on to the, oh yeah, I'm gonna make sure that nobody has to pay back federal loans, because Bernie Sanders has always been riding the student loan debt forgiveness wave, and he's promised that if he was elected both in 2020 as well as back in 2016. So Biden obviously kind of piggybacked that because he was the establishment, and Bernie was like the radical left socialist to some people candidate, and he couldn't really keep up with that. So obviously he started to promise things that Bernie Sanders, I was about to say Larry David so bad, and it was going to be sad, that Bernie Sanders was promising. But now that he's elected, he really doesn't have any like impetus to do so. And then you also had Nancy Pelosi. I don't know if you heard Mike this week. She said like she wants, in reaction to people pushing for politicians or at least elected officials to basically abandon any stocks or any investments or any type of influence on like the stock market that politicians have, because as an elected official you're privy to a lot of information before the public is. And Mike, you do remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I think it was like a handful of politicians who kind of knew about the upcoming shutdown and actually pulled money out of businesses, which, if I'm not mistaken, on the on the civilian level, if me and you did something like that, it would be insider trading. But for them, it's just smart investment. And I think they basically got like a slap on the wrist when they were investigated by like the SEC. But she's saying like these elected officials, even though they have this information, they shouldn't be held accountable for using that information to further their own business ventures or to protect their own business interests. And also another thing is like have you seen Kamala Harris like at all in the last year or doing anything?
I saw her one time this week, and before that was probably like the summer.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, and she was supposed to be like, oh, like it's the first African American Indian vice president, and like, has she done anything for either group? Has she done anything for women? I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's this award of the week. This would have been my suggestion too, because during the week I watch a lot of like news, and I just feel a lot of like backtracking, like with the Biden stuff. They're nervous about next year's election and then like 2024, and they're using the whole like, hey, you want him to come back, because a lot of people are frustrated. 2020 was a crazy year. You're also talking about like the insider trading or just having a knowledge that other investors won't know. That was a big deal too with the people who have money in Pfizer and everything, where they were like purposely like holding it back, like the whole FDA. And it's not like you're in a position of power to influence it. And I know it's a free market, but you get in that situation where they're more one tier, like elitist, and everyone else has to follow the rules, but they don't have to. And that's the same thing that's been going on, both parties or all parties.
Yeah, and the part that's pissed me off, and we've talked about this when we've talked politics, is that Republicans basically do the same thing. The whole like, those guys are like the bad guys, we're the good guys, so you should vote for us. But the thing about Republicans are they actually like go in and they try to do stuff. Like if you've noticed, like Ron DeSantis is basically trying to turn like Florida into like what's that like Libya, and he's like Gaddafi because he's just making up shit as he pleases, because he's trying to start like a civilian like police force, which is terrifying because Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, and he also he's trying to pass like a anti-woke law to stop critical race theory from being taught. So like the long and short of it is like Republicans actually do things when they're elected, or at least try and attempt to do things as bad as they are. So what I would like for the Democrats is to stop, riding we're the alternative wagon, and actually be an alternative and actually try to get things done. Because if like come election time 2024, or even midterms in next year, or I think the year after, if it's basically the same, there's not going to be a good turnout, and there's a distinct possibility that a lot of the blue seats that you turned over the last couple of midterms might turn back red. So if you could hop off that wagon and maybe get behind it and start pushing, because that wagon has no horses and it's not going anywhere. And people are, and I think the beautiful thing is people are starting to realize, like, it's high time that we start holding our elected officials accountable, because they keep saying the only way you can make change, the only way you can make change is what, Mike?
Vote.
Exactly.
Like make change. Yeah.
So if we're going out and voting for you and you're not making any changes, what's the point of voting for you and you're not going to do anything? And that's the long and short of it. So Democrats are getting award of the week for episode 80 for riding we're the only alternative wagon until the wheels fall off, which is apparently what they're aiming to do, and that has been award of the week.